Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion were involved in a high-profile incident in July 2020 in which Megan Thee Stallion was shot in the foot. Tory Lanez was later charged with carrying a concealed firearm in a vehicle, and Megan Thee Stallion accused him of being the person who fired at her. The incident sparked a public conversation about domestic violence and led to Megan Thee Stallion speaking out about the importance of believing and supporting survivors of abuse. To finish off 2022, the case of Tory Lanez versus Megan Thee Stallion finally had its trial, in which Tory Lanez was convicted of 3 felony counts, which included assault with a firearm, carrying an unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. He currently faces over 20 years in prison and has a chance of being deported. But the problem with this case, as with many other cases in the past, is that even though the judge gave a clear verdict, many people still have their own versions of the events and how everything went down. Today we will cover the entire incident as well as evidence that has come to light in order for you, the viewer, to make your own conclusion on what you think happened. To start, we first have to take a look at what happened over 2 years ago and what the claims were that resulted in this case going to trial. The alleged incident happened on July 12th, 2020. Earlier on Saturday night, July 11th, Megan Thee Stallion documented hanging out poolside with Tory Lanez and Kylie Jenner via an Instagram Live. At 4 a.m. on Sunday morning, however, the police ended up arresting Tory for carrying a concealed weapon in a vehicle when they found the weapon in his SUV after receiving a disturbance call outside of a Hollywood Hills residence. According to TMZ's initial report, an argument ensued and someone fired shots in the air before taking off in the vehicle, where police later found Megan and another woman. TMZ reported that Megan had a cut on her foot from the broken glass of the car, but she set the record straight on Wednesday, July 15th, when she detailed suffering quote-unquote multiple gunshot wounds as a result of a crime that was committed against me and done with the intention to physically harm me. The 25-year-old artist explained that she was not arrested at the time. Megan's friend, Kelsey Nicole, was the other woman found in the car, and she came forward on her own social media shortly after to set the record straight and saying, quote unquote, "I want to clear up the rumors that I shot Megan. I wasn't the one with the gun and I would never do something like that. However, I was present," in an Instagram post that was later deleted. Megan Thee Stallion went on to accuse Tory Lanez of being the one to fire at her foot. So naturally, after this, the audience was split into 2 sides. One side which believed that Megan was telling the truth and that Tory did fire the weapon, and one side which believed that Megan had fabricated the story and that Tory was innocent. This battle between the split sides went on for over 2 years all over social media, with fans berating each other and their respected celebrities. But the problem was no one knew the truth, and all these arguments were heavily opinion driven. The situation got extremely heated when Megan exposed the text that Tory had sent her following the incident in an Instagram post that read things such as, "I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart, I was just too drunk, and I can't change what I did, I just feel horrible." And even on after the trial, there was a leaked phone call that showed Tory was apologizing to Kelsey on the phone from his jail cell while Megan was in the hospital. Many believe that this was a confession and an apology from Tory for harming Megan. However, the key detail is that Tory did not say what he was apologizing for in these texts.
But regardless, that's not gonna make anything right, and that's not gonna make my actions right, bro. But I'm just deeply sorry, bro. I never even moved like that, bro. Like, never moved like that at all, bro. Like, for real, dog.
I know. There's a lot that happens, but
a whole lot, bro. Like, a whole lot, bro. I feel crazy, bro. But in this day, like, what happened already, bro. I can't take it back, bro. I'm just telling y'all, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I think I was just too drunk, bro. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
When I got to the house, shorty, like, all top, they gave me like 5 shots, like, off the door, like, you feel me? So I was out of there, like, in there with like, you feel me? We was taking shots past that time. I wasn't even there with like, bro. I don't even remember what we was even arguing about, bro. Like, you feel me? Like,
Yeah, no, I was already by the time you got there, so I don't know how much.
It's like, but tell me what hospital she's in.
This resulted in Tory making a tweet that stated, "Good D had me effing 2 best friends and I got caught. That's what I apologized for. It's sick how you spun it though." Claiming that his reason for apologizing was because he had intercourse with Megan and her friend Kelsey in the past, which resulted in an altercation between the 2 women. And following Tory's response, Megan went on to double down on her side of the story via Instagram story post, in which she says that Tory's narrative of her and her friend falling out was not true. Now let's fast forward forward to the trial, there were two stories being shared by the opposing parties. The prosecution story was that Tory Lanez was under alcohol influence and ended up firing at Megan Thee Stallion that night. And the defense's story was that Kelsey and Megan had found out that both of them had slept with Tory, which resulted in an altercation. Both of them ended up fighting, and when Megan was getting the best of Kelsey, Kelsey shot her. Tory stepped in to disarm Kelsey, which resulted in shots being fired into the air. And this story was backed by a witness who said he saw flashes near two women, one coming from the girl, and later an agitated man, we can assume that's Tory Lanez, quote unquote, firing everywhere. The whole trial, in my opinion, was a mess, and multiple key witnesses and sources seemed to give evidence that didn't really favor either side. Kelsey seemed to also slip up and saying that Tory shot in the air.
It was down in her direction? Definitely in her direction. Yeah, definitely in her direction.
While also saying another time that, quote unquote, I saw Tory fire 3 to 5 shots at Megan when we got out of the car, as well as things such as he offered me $1 million and asked to do favors for me if I stayed quiet, and Tory punched me. But then later on going on to say that she didn't remember anything from that night and that Tory never paid her off. Like I said, basically a whole lot of confusing information. But after a 2-week trial of both parties presenting evidence in an attempt to have the case go their way, the jurors finally reached their verdict after 7 hours of deliberation across 2 days, in which was that Tory Lanez was guilty. And while there are still many people that are arguing over this case despite it being complete, I just want to say that allegations and speculations are just that, allegations and speculations. The verdict was given, and while who knows, there might be an appeal later on, for now we have to respect the decision and move forward with the information that has been given. However, there still is a huge problem, and that is that both Tory and Megan did not come out of this without any harm. Even though the verdict was in Megan's favor, there are still many fans that will continue to believe that she lied and will for some odd reason continue to berate her. While it's no question in the fact that she has gained a lot of support, especially from women who are proud of her side of the story being affirmed by the law, and a lot of people still doubting her and sending negative messages towards her. As for Tory, he is obviously in prison and was blackballed by the music industry way before the trial even happened due to this incident. He's lost many fans who sided with Megan and essentially killed the momentum of his career with this. Even if the case gets appealed, it's tough to say whether Tory's career will ever return to what it once was, and obviously if there will be an appeal, that would only bring more bad news towards Megan. As for my opinion, I honestly don't have one when it comes to the verdict. It's really hard to argue with the law, so I personally just think that regardless of the confusing evidence and stories on both sides, we should probably just take the verdict as fact unless something comes to fruition in the future that would say otherwise. However, I do think that both Megan and Tory lost a lot from this incident, as I mentioned before, and had this never happened, both careers would definitely be better off. But what do you think about this? Are you content with how this trial went down, or do you have any other opinions? Let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe to not miss future videos, and thanks for watching.